Hey everybody, Questwise here, and today I have a special treat for you. It's kind of a special treat for me. Today we're going to look at this sort of beta version, pre-production copy of Nemesyn Rpg. This is a first edition box set. Let me explain to you a little bit about this game in particular before we crack open this box and I show you what you can expect inside this thing. First of all, this game will be launched on Kickstarter beginning March 7th, 2019, and then you can jump into that. That's very soon. If at the time of filming of this video, that is just a couple of days away, and I just want to say that this is a Kickstarter you're not going to want to miss, because Nemesyn is a couple of things. It is a tabletop role-playing game, which in style sort of mimics or sort of pays homage to the box sets of the 90s, where you would buy things like, Forgotten Realms box set, and it would have everything you would need contained within it to make characters and to play the game. But this is a little bit different. Once you get inside, you'll see what I mean. This mimics the style of those box sets, but is a very new and innovative design and a game playing experience, which I have never seen before. I can honestly say that there's a lot of stuff in here that I've never seen before. Truly unique as far as tabletop role-playing games go. And if you've watched some of my other videos before and you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm a sucker for chits and bits when it comes to role-playing games. And by that, I mean things like cards and tokens, extra things that sort of enhance a role-playing experience. And this has it in spades and has some truly innovative and very, very unique ideas behind the game design system. Now, if you are if you've been a veteran role player for a while, there are things in here that will seem very familiar to you, and that's good, because if you played for a while, this is not going to be a very super hard game for you to pick up and to understand. And I'll show you what I mean by that when we get into the core rulebook. But first, let's just crack open the box and let me show you what you'll get. Now, please note that this is a pre-production copy, and things will change. This is the second one I've received to review. I received a very, very early copy, and so things have already gone miles forward. Originally, when I got this box, it was just a plain white cover with just the title printed on it. This version that I've received, obviously you can see has added some art. But so please keep in mind that some of this stuff may change, and some of it may very well stay the same. So if you when and if you do get a copy, don't be surprised if some things have changed a little bit. But I think we're kind of in the final stages of how this is going down. The creator of this game's name is Roy Burke, and I've talked to him several times via the internet, and I think he's got a great thing going for him here, and I wanted to show this off to promote it for him, because I think he has a really, really awesome game system here, and one that really deserves to be on any serious role player's bookshelf as well too. So, Nemesyn the RPG. Let's crack this thing open. So, box pops open. First thing we see is a self-contained standalone adventure called The Village, and you'll get this in your thing as well too. This is sort of like a introductory adventure. While it's not super simple, I mean, it's not like it is a beginning adventure, so it's for beginning level characters, and you can read here with a legend of 5 or less. So interesting. It's sort of a and I'll show you a bit later the way that levels and stuff are done. They're more called legendary levels, or legend status kind of things. So you get that self-contained within a bag. There are some maps and stuff in here. We'll crack this open in just a little. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to crack this open. I want to leave this perfectly sealed, because I've taken a look at it, but I want to tempt you to go and check out this Kickstarter so that you get a copy of this as well too, and it'll be a surprise. So I'm not going to reveal everything that's in here today. So you get the adventure prepackaged. You get the rule book, which is sort of a smaller. It's not quite the size of the box, as you can see. It's sort of a square-shaped book. Not sure if this is going to have art eventually or not. Probably will, but we'll flip through this in a few minutes, and I'll show you what's inside there. Inside the bottom of the box, you get a set of dice, which is kind of nice. Always nice to have an extra set of dice. So the box is designed for each player sort of to buy, though you could probably share some of this between a couple of players. It's really meant to be one of those things that you buy and has everything to either run the game or to play as a player out of the box as well too. So it might also be very helpful for each player to have their own box, although you could share a box amongst several players as well too. So one set of dice you get with that. You get a little sand timer, minute timer, and I'll explain how that works in just a few minutes. He's included a dry erase marker, which you'll see in a few minutes what this is for. But this is genius as well too. Little bits like this thing. I think this is a very thoughtful thing to add to the thing. If there's something you need in a game, it should come in the box, right? So it's nice that the designer that Mr. Burke has thought of the idea of that, like, hey, my game's going to require you to use one of these. I don't expect you to run out and have to buy one because you want to, you're going to need one. The same thing with this. Like, you could go buy one of these at a store, but it's nice for him to include that automatically in the box set. Let's see. These come into play a little bit later. These are actually just, I'm sure that these are going to change as well too. Right now they're just the cardboard strips, but you actually slide them together to make they're optional, but they make a stand for the cards, for a player stand for cards when you're playing. This I'll show you in a little bit, because this is one of the cool unique, innovative sort of design mechanisms that I'll show you in a moment. And you get some boxes of cards. You get 60. These are called hero cards. This is the mage deck. It's got spells and stuff in it. This is the warrior deck. The outlaw deck. And this is the fate deck as well too. On the bottom of this, you get the rather than have the appendices in the back of the rule book, he prints them out for you here as a little booklet, so that is something you can just hand to the player as they're sort of creating their character, which is very nice to have. A little handy handout to give to your players or somebody who's creating a character, so that you as the fate master can have the rule book in front of you while they're preparing for things. Below that is the character sheet. Again, this might change a little bit, but it's very functional the way it is. They're double-sided, very interesting. Gives you a couple of pieces of that there. They're thicker. They're kind of nice. They're not quite a cardstock, but a nice thick paper. You could definitely, photocopy this if you want, because you only get a few of them in the box set, 4 or 5. But it's nice paper, especially if you're, planning on keeping the character in. But it's nice to be able to photocopy those, have extras of those. And then on the bottom of this, you get a laminated battle sheet, which is what this is for. This is a way to keep track of, for the Fate Master, to keep track of different monsters and or NPCs as the battle takes place. And he can keep track of all that stuff here with a dry erase marker. Order of actions, which is basically initiative, and all that kind of stuff for NPCs and monsters. If you want to use a grid, it's provided for you. If you want to use miniatures and or tokens or whatnot to control, to emulate the battlefield, it's nice that he gives you a little one of these just so that you can play out of the box, which is also really nice to have. If you're taking this to a convention or something, it's just nice to have a small one of these ready and handy to go. So let's put some of this stuff back in the box here. And I want to show you the cards. So let's start with the Warrior box set. A lot of these are the same. You're gonna have a lot of the same cards in some of these, but there's gonna be some truly unique different things in here as well too. But let's crack open the Warrior cards. Each deck comes with a nice little tuck box that's ready to go. These are, you know, I'm not going to say standard size playing cards. They feel a little bit bigger. I haven't actually tried to see if these will fit into like a card sleeve, you know, like for Magic the Gathering or something, which a lot of people like to do when they have cards for RPGs to protect them a little better. But I feel like these might be just a little bit bigger. But as you can see on the back of these, they have the full color art from the box. They're nice cards. They're very, very high quality cards. I'm assuming this is how they're gonna stay. When I talked to Mr. Burke, he said that these were made through the Game Crafter website, and I've reviewed their stuff before when I did the Deck of Many Dungeons, and I was really, really happy with the quality of the cards from them before. And these are no different. They're very nice quality cards. These cards play a big role in the game. There's a lot of stuff in this game that's, I don't want to say controlled by the cards, but are active in the playing of the cards. So there's different things that you can have in the game. First of all, there are items. So these are really nice to have because they you can just lay this in front of your character, and then you can see at just a glance what the item does, and it's a cool little item to have. I love this stuff in games. I love having like spell cards, and I love having item cards, things that you can have at a quick reference that you don't have to look through your character sheet for. Everything's right there in front of you. So there's a little, tells you what it is. A shield. It's a buckler. So it's a small shield. There's an actual picture of it. This little graph thing here it's actually used in the game to explain how much sort of space it takes up, or how many things that you can use in a hand. So this would be like both hands. So this is one hand. Here's two hands. So this takes up like a half of one hand. It's a buckler. It's small. So you could still hypothetically hold something else in this offhand with the buckler and stuff as well too. That just, it depends on filling in the sort of circle, telling you when something is sort of not available anymore. These are some of the stats for it. Again, it's some stuff that you'll see when you pick up the game. There are other things like these are battle cards. This is an attack card. When you play this during the thing, your turn, it would give you certain benefits. Like this, obviously, is a +2 to attack. And there's different things, different abilities you could use. This is an unarmed attack. This is a force attack. Berserker attack, and there's some effort as well too. Effort cards are interesting. So when you're using a skill in a certain time, this would be a battle skill, you would play this and it gives you a +3 bonus. What's interesting about this game is it's sort of, it's got a deck building element to it as well too. Every character starts with a deck of cards that you build at the time of character creation. And throughout play, as you gain experience through the game, you will be able to add new cards to your deck. So you have a certain number of points of things, or a certain number of space that you can add things like magic. And I'm going to go into magic in just a few minutes, so I'm going to set this aside. But you can add certain things to your sort of inventory. And as you use things like effort and skills and stuff, they go into a rest pile. So there's not a discard pile. I mean, there is a discard pile, but they would go into they call the rest deck. And so they're uses that you can use, but they're only a limited amount of usage. And then when you take a rest, you get those back. You get to shuffle them back into your deck. There are certain things. Let's see if I can find one. There are certain things like torches and such that have a one-time use. So you would simply, once you use them and they were used up, it must be in the other deck, I'm sorry. Here we go. Torch. So once you used your torch, this would actually go into the discard pile. It gets used up. So it tells you here the time amount. Oops, I bring it a little closer. That this is worth. You can do D6 damage with it if you wanted to use it like sort of a club or to burn somebody with. It sheds light of 40 feet, and it has a 1 hour time limit. And once that's done, this actually gets discarded. It's no longer part of your deck because it's just a used item. And then you can later go back and buy these again at the at a merchant or whatever when you get a chance. You can rebuy these again. So here again, what I'm talking about here, it takes up one hand because this is one hand, this is two hands. But this fully takes up and encompasses one hand, so that you can't hold anything else. Both these circles are enclosed. It means that you can just hold only this in one of your hands. So let's take a look at another weapon here. This is an interesting one as well too. Tells you the damage. It's sort of two-handed, range of 200 feet. And again, this is an item card that would just lay in front of you. And be part of your options to fight and stuff as well too. Magic in this game is very, very interesting. So there's cards for magic. Now you don't necessarily have to have cards for everything in the game. Some of the stuff can actually just be written on your character sheet and you can sort of reference it from there. You don't have to have a card for every single weapon that you carry, but it's nice to have them. It's really cool to be able to have those in front of you. Magic is very interesting in this game, and that it's very much a sort of free form. There are rules to using magic, but as you can see, this is simply a magic card and a cast evoke, right? So the rulebook gives you ideas of what these words mean. Like, what does it mean to evoke something? What does it mean to conjure something? But in and amongst that, you're sort of free to sort of describe and come up with the idea of what it is that you're conjuring and how much mana. So this mana is a resource that not only reflects how much magical ability you have, but also sort of your life essence as well too. You got to be careful when using mana to a great amount, which means that magic does have it has a sort of a limit. There's a limit to how much magic you can use in the game because you're burning off mana, which also is considered part of your life force. But you're sort of free to describe what it is that when you use this card to conjure something, what it is that you conjure. And it's very cool in the aspect that you get to sort of choose what it is that the magic sort of exemplifies itself for. What does it look like? What happens when you cast this thing? And so there are dozens of different kinds of abilities or like schools of magic that you can do, and different things. So this adds +9 to your action. Action is like your sort of initiative order and stuff as well too. But yeah, magic is very kind of free form, but there are some limitations into how much mana you can use at any one time. Let me see if we can show you any more of these cards. There are some that I really wanted to show you. Again, things like, healer's pouch. You can use this to treat wounds and stuff. There's a heater shield. There are skills in here as well too. Artwork on these is really nice. They're very medieval in feel. That's the other thing cool about this game, is it has a very sort of medieval, mythological feel to the game, especially in the names of some of the races and stuff. Another great thing about this is there are really no sort of classes. There are races and different sub-races, but as far as classes, you have background skills, and you sort of create the character that you want to create. Some more battle skills, and what I really want to show you must be in another deck. But so as we're talking about that, I like the fact that there are sort of no there are no sort of classes. There are sort of background skills that kind of define the character you are, and if you can use magic and that kind of stuff, but no real classes. There are 4 abilities: there's strength, agility, charm, and intellect, and each one of those has 3 subcategories as well too, which is sort of breaks them down. So like in agility, you would have speed, and you would have sort of dexterity, and that. The core mechanic of this game is, again, very simple. It's a d20 roll, but it's a roll under, equal to or under the target number. Now, the target number might be something that's preset by the Fate Master, but it could also be something that's on a skill card as well, too. So, let's see what I'm looking for here. Yeah, here we go. All right. So, let's break this out. There's two parts to this, and this is part of the cool, innovative part that I want to show you. So there are items, and there are things that you can use. So, for instance, let's crack this open here. Okay. Sometimes you'll come across a puzzle, or let's say there is a lock. Okay. So here's the deal. You're going to take one of these when you come across when the Fate Master tells you come across a lock that you need to pick. These are shackles. It says right here, you come across a pair of shackles and you need to pick the lock to free the prisoner. You're going to take this card as a Fate Master, and you're going to slide it into this little sheath, right? And you're going to hand this to the player. And you're going to use this, and a lot of times this will come into play when they're doing a puzzle, or when they're trying to pick someone's pocket, or they're trying to unlock something. It depends on how risky the maneuver is. But you're going to hand this to the player. When they're ready, you're going to set this on the table, and you're going to set the timer off. And they have to try to figure out how to unlock this pair of shackles in the time allowed. And the way that they do this is they have these cards. They're lock picks. And they have to try to figure out these little grids here. So they'll take this and they'll set this aside. They're not allowed to look down on the thing, because that's actually where the actual combination is down there. But they're going to look at these and they're going to try to match these up. So they're going to be like, okay, I need one this way. I need, let's see, there's one here. No, that doesn't fit. So there's, I need a black and then a space and then a black. But this might work this way. So you have one here and then one there. That works. So that's a fit that way. So you sit this way. And then when you're done, you tell them, okay, I'm ready. And you say, I have to pop, this way. And then you might need even more than one lockpick. But when you're done, the Fate Master will pull this out. This is a level 1 lock, and it will tell you what lockpick you need. And unfortunately, this was not one of them. You need a 1, and let's see if we can pull one out here real quick. That's a trap tool. Of course, I don't prepare for this. Yeah, here we go. So one of them is a 5 spin, right? So this is lockpick number 5, and you needed the spin maneuver. So this is one of the locks that you would need to unlock, or lock picks you would need to unlock this. So interesting. You might not have the tools to unlock a pick, to pick a lock on a certain thing. You just have to come to that conclusion. And sometimes you just have to go find the specific tool that you need to do the job. There are other things in the game that use this idea as well too. There's picking pockets, which is an interesting thing, which is a little bit different because it allows you to discover what it is you find if you're successful at picking someone's pocket, but also if what it is that you do find. There's a chart for those kinds of things in somebody's pocket as well. So the cards themselves are very, very cool, and they're very, very innovative, and I love it. I love the fact that we have this little, this little system here. Simple, And you place it in here so that the player can actually handle it and look at it and try to figure it out. And then when it's time to return it, you can pull it out, and the sort of cheat sheet is right at the bottom of those things as well too. So very cool, very innovative. I love the way that kind of thing works. Here's the pickpocket one. And there are rules inside the book. Again, you'll slide this in here like so, and they'll get to look at it and try to figure out things. And there are rules in the book, and that'll show you what your, sort of combinations of things you're trying to add together. And then at the bottom, it'll tell you what you find. And this is just a chart in the book. It tells you what it is you find and where you find it, that kind of stuff. Nemesyn, the RPG. I'll probably do a few more videos on this as the time comes a little bit closer to the end of the Kickstarter. But I definitely think if you are into old school feeling, sort of 90s role playing, something that you're familiar with, like I said, it's a D20 roll under or equal to or under system. A lot of stuff in this box set. I think this is going to be an amazing product. Everything that comes in it is very well thought out and is very, very nice quality. So definitely go give it a check out. As soon as the Kickstarter launches, there'll be a lot more information on there as well too. They have a Facebook page, which I will link down below. They also have a website, which is being worked on right now. There's not a lot on the website right now, but you can see things. The other thing that's kind of cool is that you can buy some of these products separately. So if you need an extra warrior deck or you need a mage deck and stuff, those will all be available to purchase separately in addition to the box set. So you don't have to buy a box set every time. You just need an extra pack of mage cards and stuff as well too. So go check them out, Roy Burke and Nemesyn Rpg. Until next time, I'm Questwise, and I'm out.